What's new in CloudBees CI 2.303.3.3? Are you new here? If you are, welcome. And if you are new here, you don't know who I am. My name is Darren Pope, and I'm a developer advocate for CloudBees. On November 4th, 2021, CloudBees CI 2.303.3.3 was released. In this video, we're going to go through the release notes and call out a few of the more interesting items that were in this release. If you haven't taken the time yet to watch the What's New in Jenkins LTS 2.303.3, now's a good time to go ahead and go do that so you can understand all of the other underlying items that happened within Jenkins LTS. If you've never taken a look at the release notes for CloudBees CI, here's how to do it. We're going to start at docs.cloudbees.com, click on Documentation, click on CloudBees CI, and then on the Documentation dropdown, select Release Notes. And once that loads up, what you'll see here is the latest version is 2.303.3.3. And we're going to start with the traditional full release notes, and then we'll come over and look at the modern cloud platform release notes. As we click into the release notes for traditional, what you're going to see here at the top is this specific release was called out as a security advisory. We could click through and look at the security advisory notice as it stands, but all of those items were also pulled into security fixes. So there were numerous fixes that were brought into the Jenkins Remote Communication Protocol. If you watch the video that I did with Mark Waite on Jenkins LTS 2.303.3, we go into greater detail about all of those fixes. Now, as we scroll down, let's take a look at a couple of the new features and feature enhancements. There were a number of configuration as code fixes for both the controllers and for the operations center. So if you are actively using configuration as code for your controllers or your operations center, you'll want to go through each of these prior to actually doing your upgrade to 2.303.3.3. Another very interesting new feature is here at the bottom of the new feature section, it's a preview release for the Restricted Credentials plugin. What the Restricted Credentials plugin gives you is a new Jenkins credentials store that you can scope where the credential is used within your Jenkins controller. Now, currently this is in preview, so test it out. Let us know what you think about it. There were also a couple of feature enhancements that I want to call out. One of these is the AWS SDK plugin was split into multiple plugins. Previously, this plugin is actually very large, and not all of the features within this plugin needed to be used. So by breaking this plugin apart, we can now bring in just the parts that we need to interact with AWS. And finally, there were a couple of plugins that are migrating away from using async HTTP client and moving over to OK HTTP. Now let's go down and take a look at our resolved issues. Again, the majority of these are related back to configuration as code. If you are using traditional, there was also a fix to the regression for the RPMs where Jenkins Java options weren't being handled correctly. All of that's been squared away now. And finally, if you have been using an integration with GitHub, there may have been a chance that your PR builds weren't working. And the reason why is that if the commit merge hash was not created within 4 seconds, then that PR build was not being created. So now, if you have that on an ongoing basis due to network latencies or whatever your case might be, you can now tune this to change it to whatever timeout that you need. In this case, this timeout is a count called Mergeable status retries. So in this case, it's by default set to 4. If for some reason you're not getting your PR builds, maybe bump this value to 8 or 10. Set it to whatever it is that you need in order to make sure that your PR builds are being created. Now, there is one known issue with this release, and it has been identified back to the tar extraction functionality when working with symbolic links. This has been tracked down to the unstash step being affected, and you can track this in Jenkins-67063. Now let's go over to our modern release notes, and there's only one item that I need to call out that's specific for modern cloud platforms. And this one is for Kubernetes and a specific item where it was related to hibernation. and it's under resolved issues. So there was a case to where if you had enabled hibernation for your controllers within multiple namespaces, the routes that were created could cause conflict. So now, if you are using hibernation with multiple namespaces, only namespace routes are created. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach out to us on Twitter at CloudBees. If this video was helpful to you, give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to CloudBees TV yet, why not? Take a moment, click on that subscribe button, and then ring that bell, and you'll be notified anytime there's new content available on CloudBees TV. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video.